So, just like as Maria W. Stewart, one among the first black women to hold public lectures against slavery, she was quoting at a public lecture that, like King Solomon, who put neither nail nor hammer to the temple, yet received the praise, so also have the white American gained themselves the name, while in reality we have been there, the foundation, principle, and support. So the people who are having double or multiple forms of geopatry, of casteism, of patriarchy, we are going to talk about the invisibilization of these women and how the process of visibilization is politically important in the current scenario. As we all know that the suppressing of the knowledge produced by the oppressed class is always an agenda of the dominant caste of India. So to put forth the agenda of visibilization is a great agenda towards renovating the society at a large itself. So we are going to deal with visibilization of the Dalit and Bahujan today. And we are having a panel of speakers from multiple arena. We are having Dr. Raj on the panel, Adv.P.K. Santhamma, Dr. Malavika, Binny, Mridula, Devi, we are Joji sir and also so I would like to start the conversation with Advocate Santhamma, who was the senior GP and special GP for the government, and also who is a member of the SCST committee of the Kerala High Court. So, ma'am, coming to you, first of all, I'm very happy that as a member of the Dalit community, we know how during the Perinada riot which happened in Kerala, Ayangali and all those members were not even having a Dalit person from the Dalit community as a lawyer. So they had to construct a whole command pond in order to pay the fees for the lawyer. But we are having lawyers like it today who are doing actually sometimes free service to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe community of our area. So we are so happy to have you on the panel now. So my question to you is that as George F. Gadbois also told in his book on Judges of Supreme Court of India, in between 1950 and 1989, so 92.2% of the judges of the Supreme Court are male Brahmins or from the forward castes. So we know that there is a disappropriated representation in the Indian higher judiciary, also in the apex court. So how do you look at the lack of representation of Dalits and in particular the Dalit women in the judicial system? That's a question to you.
First of all, Dinu, I want to say good evening to Srimati Meera Velayudhan and Sir Mohan Gopal sir and all other speakers. We have heard that is a long struggle, which has been put into by our community. That is the discriminations, the oppressions, sufferings, all that our community had undergone. That is an era. That was from the year which in which year Srimati Dakshayani Velayudhan, Madam, was born and to 1978. So the one word that is she wished was that in the coming year we can hope that there will not be a community known as untouchable. That is her wish, and whether that has been fulfilled or that her vision has been fulfilled, that is a question. And I think what are the questions Dinu will be asked, I don't know. Anyway, that concept, whether that is there or that is fulfilled, that is what is the present system or scenario about the caste, etc., etc. That is a matter to be discussed, and that solution That is that we have been talking for many days. That in our Article 16 also, 16 group also, that is a talk. That is a discussion. Anyway, I'm not going to that aspect. Anyway, very interesting. Interesting that era that has been opened for us, exposed before us. Srimati Meera Velayudhan. Okay, and then the question asked by Mr. Dinu is that what is the reason or what is the cause of the less representation or few representation in the judiciary? That is a question. That is 92 point, according to Dinu, 92.2% of judges are the from male domination, and that is also from upper caste. That is from a Brahmanical view, he has stated it. Anyway, we are beyond that. There are several aspects for selecting a judge to the court. And Dinu has said about the Supreme Court. That is 92 point. That's in law in the high courts. More than more judges are there. Women judges are there, as we know. And when we come to the selection of Supreme Court judges or judges, we know that there are several factors. That we know that several factors are there. So I think the most important is I have to say that it is some sort of yesterday some capital, some social capital, etc. He was saying. Anyway, I was not familiar with those words. Anyway, there should be a link, or there should be an atmosphere. There should be some sort of connections, etc. We should have. And if we lack that sort of links or connections or that atmosphere, definitely we will fail to whatever be the talents or knowledge we have, that we will be at a time we will be thrown out. That is what we have seen for years. Because I cannot blame anybody, but that we have to if I say that the percentage of women is very less in the judiciary, and that is with regard to all the women. That is, we know the ancestor history of women. So if a woman from the upper caste or Brahmanical caste, if she does not come to the dais or come to the judiciary, what will be the if she is not able to come, what will be the fate of a Dalit woman or a scheduled caste woman or a Bahujan woman? That is the question. So however, that is we must get some support. There must be support from, and there must be encouragement from all sections of the community. But whether we will get our women, whether they will get that inspiration, or whether that we will get that support from the community, that is a question. But so we know in the history we can see that we are not at all considered as human beings. So by step by education, we are moving little bit forward. But the bond or the circumstances or the atmosphere that lack to bring our women to the judiciary. Even if male judges are also, if they are also appointed, but that is male domination. Well, we can say that in every sector there is a male domination. So my point is that even the women from the upper caste fail to be selected to the post, this higher post. Then our problem will be, or our fate is very much less than this the other women. So if however our talents or our knowledge, if exposed, even if we could expose it, that we fail. We fail. That is a reason for that is to be found out. It is a reason is to be found out. That is my answer to that. That is I can say that is the caste system is the non-recognition or non-encouragement and non-support, and that empowerment that we are not if they are not possible, or they are not in the vicinity of our destination or our present scenario. That may be the reason. I cannot say may, but that all those things are the reasons for not standing in support of our Dalit women to the judiciary or to the dais or the benches. That only I can say, that the non-support, the non-arrangement, and the non-recognition. Non-recognition, that I have to say. The non-recognition, that is the main reason. Okay, Dinu. It's only I can.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to also know whether Dr. Mohan Gopal sir would like to annex something to it, and to particular how the socio-cultural capital works in the appointment of the judges, and how the marginalized women are having a sort of hurdle to move into the judicial system.
No, I want to hear others, but just to connect it, first of all, I want to acknowledge what is a very wonderful, I think, historically significant presentation by Dr. Meera Velayudhan. I'm very glad that we have recorded it, we are putting it on YouTube, and I'm sure it will become part of the archives of history, her presentation, because it's a first-person account, a very lucid, well-organized, brilliant presentation. So I'm really privileged to have been able to hear it, and I want to thank you and thank you, Madam, for a wonderful, wonderful presentation. It's just moving and powerful. So to link your question to that and the topic that she herself chose, what makes us invisible and visible? What makes the scheduled caste visible and invisible? The main focus, I think, and main significance of the contribution of Madam Dakshayani Velayudhan in the Constituent Assembly was her assault against untouchability and slavery. I think others spoke a little bit around it. Dr. Ambedkar, by making him the chairman of the drafting committee, to some extent, they denied him the opportunity to speak as just a member, where he would have spoken like he spoke in Parliament, very later, very freely. So, in the absence of Dr. Ambedkar's ability to speak, Madam Dakshayani Velayudhan really visibilized the issue of untouchability and slavery. And untouchability is what is actually blurring visibility and making invisibilization. So I think part of the problem is that and so we connect that to the very nice presentation by Madam Santhamma also on this point, and she ended by telling us about the fact that there is no recognition. That recognition comes because caste prejudice has blinded their eyes. They cannot see what is in front of them. They cannot see. They're so blinded. And the caste is like a cataract. They cannot see the ability. I think that Dakshayani should have emerged as the top leader of the Indian National Congress in Kerala after independence. There was no one else as talented, as capable, and as deserving as her to lead the Indian National Congress, and she should have been Chief Minister of Kerala for many years, and she should have led the state to a very new type of society, instead of the Kerala being dominated by Syrian Christian Nair leadership, except for 2 years of Arshankar. So the Kerala, the first casteism and the lack of recognition of the Congress party that actually kept her away, in pure social work, when she had the greatest credibility to be the top leader of the Congress movement in Kerala, with all all the contributions she had made in the Constituent Assembly. So in a sense, the Indian National Congress Party of Kerala has to account to history for what they did is actually no less than an offense against the people of the state to keep away such a woman from leading the state. Was a major wrong that they did against the state. So similarly, people like Advocate Santhamma, I feel, should have been on the Supreme Court. With all her capacity and her commitment, she should have been in the High Court a long time ago, and she should have been in the Supreme Court, with bringing a new voice, a new perspective, a new commitment. What has prevented her? As she said, is lack of recognition, is blindness, caste blindness. So how do we overcome? How do we ensure that this visibilization takes place? Madam Meera Velayudhan has given us this topic of visibilization. It's a very appropriate topic, and there is no shortcut except to annihilate caste. That's what we have to focus on. For that, we have to really accurately, much more accurately define what is caste and how to annihilate it, like a virus. We have to understand, study that virus, and develop a vaccine that will destroy caste, as Dr. Ambedkar has asked us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I was also remembering at this stage one narrative which has been shared by Advocate Kiruba Manuswamy, who is also the leader here, inspiring all of us. So she was telling how in the courtroom she was feeling as an untouchable woman. While while the case came up, the judge was not asking any question to her and not listening to her even when she was a petitioner's advocate, and everything was asked to the senior upper caste lawyers from within the courtroom. So as you always say, Mohan Gopal sir, the Brahminical merit says that you are meritless when you are even in the courtroom. So how she has been felt as an untouchable woman within the courtroom was an account shared by her. Yes. So now I would like to move to Dr. Malavika Binny. She's an assistant professor of history in the SRM University, Andhra Pradesh, and she holds a PhD in ancient history from JNU. So over to you. So we have already seen from history how Dalit and marginalized women are being invisibilized in the production of knowledge. And similarly, we all know Jhansi Rani from 1857 movement, but we are not knowing who Uda Devi was, who have actually murdered a lot of British men by using the modern weapon itself. I'd like to know from you as a historian how the historiography, the writing of historiography, both in the national historiography or the Oriental historiography, is actually invisibilizing the accounts of Dalit and marginalized women. Over to you.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Thank you, Dinu, for the question. And let me put on record my gratitude for being part of such a wonderful panel of very, very esteemed and erudite persons. It is indeed a great privilege to be part of the birth centenary celebrations of Srimati Dakshayani Velayudhan, and to listen to her daughter speak so eloquently in such a meticulous manner about her life, because I think people like me who entered the academia, we had a huge issue of the paucity of role models. When we entered the academy, you do not know where to look at, you do not know how to shape yourself, to fashion yourself, because nobody looked like us. Uh, and nobody have had the lived experiences that we have had, and nobody talked about it in the open. So when Yeshika Datta writes about coming out as a Dalit, I absolutely understand, because we sort of had to live under the guise of Savarna, because there was possibilities of discrimination, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that we did not have, particularly in the case of women, that we did not have role models to sketch ourselves after. So in the wake of the putting up of Confederate statues in the Met Museum, the Black feminist scholars had made this point that, when you walk into the Met Museum or when you walk into the Louvre, you don't see people like yourself, either as artists or as pictures. The lawn representations might be, of water girl somewhere, or as a slave somewhere, and that itself is a huge disservice that one does to history, because you take the huge continent of Africa, which is shrunk to fit into the world map. It is maybe 20 times larger than Europe, but it is not represented that way. So dialing back to the to the answer that Advocate Santhamma was making about recognition and representation, by the way, uh, I think it goes without saying that, the process of invisibilization, the process of shrinking that which is not dominant, the process of stifling voices which are already muffled, which have already been silenced. This is a very willful exercise that has been done. Like when we talk about oppression, often our history textbooks don't talk about the oppressor. They talk about the mechanism of oppression. They talk about the historical processes of oppression, but there is very little theorization on how the dominant became the dominant, how they continue to be. And there's this long-standing narrative, particularly in the discipline of history, of conflating class with caste, which has been a huge issue when it comes to issues of Dalit representation, both in the pre-colonial and the colonial, representing the pre-colonial and the colonial past of our country. So when Uma Chakravarti, for instance, talks about what happened to the Vedic Dasi, this is a question that she asked. And it's not a trivial question, because when we look at Vedic history, for instance, there's a lot of writing. Okay, this is of course on a comparative degree, but compared to, let's say, theorization on Shudras or theorization on, let's say, the Panchamas, there's a lot of writing on how the Trivarnikas, or the first three Varnas, developed their ritual status. Now, that there's already a rung of oppression in place there. And on the top of that, when there is a non-recognition of agency, because often we look for revolutions, we look for paradigmatic changes, we do not look for dissent, we do not look for protest, we do not look for agencies. And as Ranajit Guha has said, often when we look at movements, we look at the success of the movement, of whether they fit certain parameters. We're not looking for the causes, or we are not looking at the agenda of those movements. And that itself has been a huge problem when we look at Dalit women's history, because sometimes, the voices are stifled because uh, you do not see it culminating according to a very teleological way of looking at history. So there's a problem with the methodology, but at the same time, one can also argue that, there is a very willful disservice being done to the representation of Dalit women, because if you look for them in the archive, if you look for them in the pre-colonial records, whether it is court chronicles, whether it is your Vedic material, whether it is your Jataka tales, whether it is Sangam literature, you will find it. It is not an impossible task. It is just that, the conventional methods by which you are constructing history might have to be done away with, and you would have to maybe take up a different apparatus to understand it. So on the one hand, it's a question of methodology, it's a question of not being able to theorize agency. So that's it. And on the other hand, you you also have a very real problem. Sorry that I'm going to contest Sharmila Rigge, who has done quite a lot for Dalit women's history and Dalit women's sociology in this country, because she was the first one to speak about Dalit women's testimonials, Dalit women's agents, Dalit women's activities, so on and so forth. But what also has happened, because she was one of the first to write about it, she also created a binary, unfortunately, between the Savarna upper caste woman who was very suppressed, who was under the chokehold of Brahmanical patriarchy. And then you have the non-Savarna woman or the Dalit woman who had considerable freedom, who could go out to work. I am, of course, borrowing from her framework, who could exercise her voice and her agency within the household. So this false kind of a dichotomy was made between the Savarna woman, who was more suppressed, and a relatively free Dalit woman. And today, a lot of research, particularly from TIS, from JNU, has brought to light the fact that this is indeed a false testimony. Sorry, this is indeed a false dichotomy. So this idea that you have a different apparatus at work here, which sort of distinguishes the lives of the Savarna women and a relatively free Dalit woman. This also has been quite problematic, because all the Dalit women have been collapsed under this category of being relatively free. And we know that caste is graded inequality. So there is, even if you talk about intersectionality, there are intersections within that intersectionality. So even when we talk about the Dalit woman being oppressed by caste, by her class, by her gender, we also have to acknowledge that within the lower caste, there are multiple mechanisms of caste inequalities, and each tribe, each caste will have its own kind of patriarchal network at work. So this long-standing narrative of this opposition, of quote unquote false opposition between the Savarna women and a relatively free Dalit women, that also has done considerable disservice to the construction of narratives about Dalit women because of this conflation. I am so sorry if I took too much of time to answer that question.
Thank you so much. I think that also as David Hardiman says, in the oral history also we could see this sort of invisibilization of Dalit women. We may speak about Chenganur Adi from Kerala, but we are not addressing the Paluvam women who have also fought even during the funeral of her husband. So, but we know those names of those women who have been part of Sadi, but we are not knowing a woman who have actually fought even after her husband was died on a sort of Kalari field. So I'm moving towards now Mridula Devi S. So to introduce her to the audience here, she is an editorial board member of Padavedam, which is an alternative magazine of Kerala. I think that very few Dalit editors are there, Dalit women editors are there in India running with alternative magazine. And she is also the first Dalit women lyricist of Malayalam film industry, and she has written two beautiful poems in the Palua language of Paraya community. So, as a person who is coming from the film industry itself, my question to you is that film industry being an important cultural industry which have portrayed all sort of upper caste master narratives always, how do you look at film industry and the visibilization of Dalit and Bahujan women? That's my question to you.
Yeah. Good evening. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Article 16 focus group to invite me as a panelist on the 109th birthday of Dakshayani Velayudhan, the woman founder of Dalit woman founder of our constitution and our inspiration too. And Meera ma'am, you have given a wonderful session for us. It was so informative and so relevant also.
Don't
Thank
call
you,
me ma'am. Don't call me ma'am.
Meeraji, I'm so sorry because I have to practice now. sorry, Meeraji. Yeah, and Santhamma ma'am, Shantaji, you have also spoken very well, and my inspiration and Malavika and narrated very well. And I say my warm wishes to, I do like to pass my wishes to Adv.P.K. Mohan Gopal sir and Riaz Joshi sir. And I think the courage is not there. And my moderator, Dinu. Thank you, thanks a lot. So I consider it as an honor that if I got an invitation here. And we all know that I think, Dinu, you have asked a wonderful and relevant question to me that how do you analyze the invisibilization of Dalit and Bahujan women in the film industry? I think that it's my duty that I have to say something about P.K. Rosie, the first woman actress in Malayalam movie industry. And without mentioning her name, I can't open this session. Okay, so P.K. Rosie, the Kakarashi theatre artist and Dalit worker. She acted in Vigata Kumaran, directed by J.C. Daniel. Vigata Kumaran means the lost child, I think. And when an era of caste system was practiced openly in Kerala, a Dalit woman, P.K. Rosie, acting, and an upper caste woman enters the Raya community who pelted stones at the screen, disrupted the movies screening, and went to ostracize movies. Rosie's family and manhandled and her heart was set of her, forcing Rosie and her family to flee their native. The Dalit woman actor fled to Tamil Nadu, where she is believed to have lived and died in the year 1987. And she lived in Tamil Nadu in a different identity without letting anyone know about her past. And no print of Vigata woman exists anywhere, and leaving no proof of Rosie's acting career. Yeah, Rosie is not the first and last Dalit woman in the industry who is ostracized for her identity. Even now, many hide their Dalit identity, fearing that revealing it could cause a loss, that could cost them in their career. That has to end in the long run. If they reveal their identity, they would isolate from industry or to cut their permanent. Otherwise, they would never receive any opportunity further. Yeah, you all know that when I entered to Malayalam movie industry as a lyricist, you know that it's a power of knowledge. Writing is a power of knowledge, and it's a Brahminical headquarters. I realized that it's a Brahminical headquarters, the Malayalam movie industry, or Indian movie also. Even in Hollywood, Tollywood, Mollywood, or anywhere in India, we know that it's a Brahminical headquarters it is. So when I reached there, I found many Dalits there, and both ladies, male and female. So those who are working there, and they are not ready to reveal their identity. When I asked about this, and they informed me that if they reveal their identity, soon they will get a cultural isolation. No, I don't like to blame the people, those who are not ready to reveal their identity. It was easy for me. To reveal my identity because I know everybody knows that I'm a Dalit activist and my area of interest is not movie also. Because for me, movie is also my activism. No, when I entered movie with this language also is also as a part of my activism. But that's not for the people, those who have a passion in this field. They can't reveal their identity. That's the problem of Malayalam industry and the Indian movie industry too. No? I asked it. So I don't like to blame again and say that I don't like to blame them, but the system. I would like to blame the system. The system is supporting Brahmins and Kshatriyas mostly. The movies already through all the movies, through Sethuramaya CBI or any movies, they have given a message. Already they had given a message that the society, it's a society of Savarna patriarchy. They have given the message that the upper caste people have a cultural identity along with virtue, honesty, beauty, courage, and self-confidence, and they have clear wisdom about all the Kshetra Kalas. At the same time, they depicted that the Dalits are the people with all but qualities, but the word, like even the role of a rapist are there, you know that the person will come from a colony, from Dalit colony. If even the role, so and the role of a robber will be there soon. We know that he will be a scheduled caste or a Dalit. In that way, they depicted. So Dalits are they are the people with nothing but bullshit. And also the people, those who are working. So I know that I have many friends, many side artists, many dancers, many makeup artists are there, but they are not ready to reveal their name because for them it's a passion. So they want to satisfy their passion, so they want to hide their identity. If they open up, then they can move with their passion. That is why. So I don't like to blame because, but I want to democratize that system. I want to, it should have been mobilized that system. I want to mobilize, only then many of them can enter there. And the people, those who are working in, so you will wonder that I know that many of my friends are there working, and many of our music composers and many of the writers, those who are still in Malayalam movie industries, by name, we think that they are Hindus. But basically, they are recordically Hindus, but Dalits. I don't like to reveal their name, and I think that that's not fair. Without their permission, I don't like to reveal the name also. Like Kalla Mala Samaram no, is an agitation by Dalit community that it took place at Pelinat Kollam. Dalit women who prohibited from covering their bursts or wearing the upper body cloth. They were made to wear necklace made of stones of glass to mark their lower caste status. No, these Dalit women removed their necklace and they have participated this agitation. It was a remarkable one. It was we want to depict in the history itself, but we historians like TSP Chandaraseri collected the data of their people, those who are participating in Kalla Mala agitation, but couldn't find any single name of the ladies, those who were participating in Kalla Mala agitation. This is the way, but even it happened in 1915. But our Indian history is teaching Rani Lakshmi Bai from Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai's historical appearance in first freedom struggle movement. It happened in 1857. They were ready to teach on through the portrait of Rani Lakshmi Bai. They were teaching the qualities of woman empowerment to us. But it happened in 1857, and Kallamala Samaram happened in 1915. No. When photography, it's a modern India, and photography also developed here, but we couldn't find any mark in the people, those who were participating in Kallamala Samaram. Why? Because they were Dalit ladies. This is the same situation happening still in movies also. That is why I do like to express that situation, the famous quotes of Veyil Appachan. എന്റെ വംശത്തിൻ കഥ എഴുതി വെച്ചിടാൻ എന്റെ വംശത്തിൻ കഥ എഴുതി വെച്ചിടാൻ പണ്ടി ഉറുവി ഇതിൽ ആരുമില്ലാതെ പോയല്ലോ കാണുന്നില്ല ഒരക്ഷരവും എന്റെ വംശത്തെ പറ്റി കാണുന്നുണ്ട് അനേക വംശത്തിൽ ചരിത്രങ്ങൾ. Yes, in the Malayalam movie industry is also, I do like to proclaim, and I would like to say that 100% sure it's a Brahmanical headquarters. And Dinu, I think that shall I stop now, and more will add after the discussion. Thank you, Dinu. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sure. One more thing I would like to add with this is that while people from the Bahujan or Dalit community comes to any sort of cultural industry, who benefits? The industry also benefits in a way that new diversities are coming. The master narratives, which are stereotypical narratives with Brahmanical patriarchy, is being changed, and new diverse cities are coming to the industry. I also remember once when Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself was not ready to be a committee in a committee, but he was asked for another Dalit member. So he just told that I'm giving you a Dalit member because you are going to get a benefit out of it. Not that my community is getting the benefit, rather you are going to get a diverse standpoint from him and you are going to benefit. And I would like to see that in the lyric by Mridula Devi in the movie Great Indian Kitchen. She was writing a poem where a woman is against the menstrual taboos, a Dalit woman who is actually celebrating her life during the menstrual period. So I would like to also know whether you could recite that two lines with us regarding the against the menstrual taboos.
Yeah, that's Mr. Stabus. I have to sing now. You know,
Yeah, only two lines so that we could loosen the
No,
academic.
no, I will sing 4 lines. I will sing 4 lines.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, Dinu. Dinu, my song is not with me, no, but I will try the.
Sure.
ചുറ്റി പിടിക്കാതെ ചുറ്റാണി നൂറ് തെച്ച്. Please give me 1 minute and I will
Sure,
I
sure,
have to
sure.
take if you don't mind.
And
Can you?
what inspired me also is that she to the director she asked only one thing while she was a lyricist. My name should be there in the
Yeah,
poster, and my name
yeah,
should be
yeah.
there.
Mine should
So
have been there.
that's
So,
a political agency
yeah,
towards the visibilization.
yeah. Many of them are. So, and I'm so happy that many of my friends all over the world sent to pick of my name and send it to my WhatsApp and my messenger, because otherwise we all know that otherwise they will cut train, they will cut short from the from this field itself. So anyway, I'm so happy that and Dinu also sent the first for this one, and I am great. Yeah. Sorry for the inconvenience. You informed me earlier, then I will take. I will take it earlier. So, can you take, if you don't mind? I couldn't get.
Sure, sure. We will come back to you
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between
Thank you.
yours.
I'll take
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yes. And I would like to know from Dr. Meera Velayudhan if she's here, being a political analyst also, we know that the women reservation bill is being regarding the women reservation bill. Why do you support or are you in favor of having a subdivision within the reservation bill and giving Dalit and Bahujan women more reservation within the larger women reservation bill? Last day, Mohan sir was also telling me that this bill is not been enacted because there has been political request in order to make special categorizations of women within the reservation policy. So may please know your stand on that, ma'am.
My video is not, but I'll talk. I have a different opinion because if you see today's context, Parliament has if you see the Hathras atrocity which took place, violence which took place, there are 35, Dalit women in UP Assembly. But they are with the BJP. Many are with the BJP. Most of them are with the BJP. So if you see today's parliament, the large number are from the fascistic organization, Hindutva organization. So at this stage, if you're asking for, a reservation, you'll have more and more of these. So I think the debate has to be something else. No doubt, I think the debate should also go to the political parties. See, we need to shift it to the political parties. Why are political parties not able to, have this kind of inclusive representation? And also equal representation of women, Kerala, look at the Kerala Assembly, 10 women, So I think the reservation thing should definitely, if you want to somehow bring it into parliament, the political parties have to take a stand. And they also need to implement it within that. And I don't think it's impossible for political parties, but because of the patriarchal political cultures that impact political parties, I think it has to start from there. Then only, this whole question of, in today's context, just imagine in this where 2/3 majority is with the BJP, and if you have about 75 women who are BJP women and who are from Dalit communities, you can have what happened in Hathras, that kind of response will come, So we cannot, just ask these, just place these demand for reservations. Of course, there should be representation from, if it is only just women as a homogeneous category, that's a difficult thing. It has to be from different kind of sections and subcastes and so on. But it has to start with the political parties because they are the ones who nominate women members. So unless they themselves, follow this equality principle and representation principle, it cannot move into the parliament at all, or even in the state assemblies. That's my position. So, I mean, I don't want to really keep, to put it to this parliament, this thing, this much percentage, and so from so and so, it doesn't make, it's not reality. We are going to just, ask the BJP to elect more. The majority of the Dalits are from the BJP in the parliament today, you know. So, which is actually a Hindutva, and they will not respond to Dalit atrocities and the way that why do we want these sections of women? Why do you want our community's women representation? Is because also to take up the issues. And if they are not taking it up and they're really mouthing what the dominant caste politicians are doing, so I think it should really start with the political parties itself. If it has to go into representation at various levels, whether it's at the assembly level or the parliament level, that's my thing. So I feel that just to talk about it in the air and not look at the realities that we have this Hindutva government, fascistic government in power, and the large sections who are taking from our communities itself are represented there, including women. So we should really see, how are we putting it forward, this demand for representation. So I think, and also I think the different states, there are different narratives in terms of representation of women going on, apart from the Panchayati Raj thing at these other higher levels of representation, And so political parties have to take, it has to be directed at political parties, definitely. That's what my position is.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to also hear from Dr. Mohan Gopal, sir, your stand on women reservation bill. So please.
Thank you, Dinu. And I think you're doing a wonderful job moderating it. So I'm really delighted, and wonderful interventions by both Malavika, Binny, and Mridula, Devi, and I look forward to hear her sing those 4 lines. I see. I think what we are doing, we have 2 levels of invisibilization here we are dealing with here. One is invisibilization as a human being, and then invisibilization as a in gender terms as a woman. And I think many of our analysis has been shifting the burden to us, us in the sense of those who are marginalized. That somehow there is something lacking, some knowledge, some assertion, some self, some things that we have not done to permit this to go on. But actually, we have to understand this problem as a major. It is not it is a result of huge inadequacies and failures and inhumanity of the Aryans. And I think we cannot understand any of this on the first part, the caste part, unless we look at caste as simply as an instrument of colonization of the subcontinent, comparable to colonization of the United States and Australia and Canada, where the colonizer comes from outside, takes a landscape which has multiple sovereignties and multiple cultures, and wants to establish a singular sovereignty over that entire landscape. It is a particular type of colonization. It did not happen in Africa, did not happen in South America, but it has happened here through the Aryans, not through the British or the Mughals. The Aryans have moved here from either Tajikistan or Lithuania or anywhere in between, and they have come into this vast subcontinent, and they are trying, and they encountered, we are not one nation, we have multiple sovereignties, multiple diversities, and they are trying, like in Australia, United States, Canada, to destroy all these multiple sovereignties and to establish a singular sovereignty and colonize this. This is, if we have to understand caste as a strategy of colonization. not simply as just an ordinary part of a social system, political system, and of course it has those elements also. So if you look at it that way, then we understand that we have to fight back by representation, by restoration. So reservation is only a tool, as Madam Meera Velayudhan said. The real issue is representation. It is restoration of rights. So when you look at it that way, I think we cannot, unfortunately, she's absolutely right. This should happen through democratic parties. But the parties have been completely bought over by vested interests in one form or the other, captured by all kinds of social, political, and economic vested interests. They're engaging in the black market of state power. So we cannot expect any reform to come from them. So I think we must ask for representation in parliament of women in proportion to the population share of every caste and community, and with that diversity in parliament, so that all these voices, down to the smallest communities, we must have some, like in the United Nations, every country is represented. Small countries can band together and create a bloc. So we want a parliament to reflect our society. Every segment must be represented. This was denied through electorates at the Pune Pact. But I think even if we don't have electorates, let's reserve the seats. That's an experiment that was accepted for SCST, and it has been successful because to the extent that there would have been zero SCST in parliament or legislature, but for reservation. Now we are getting at least that much, not even one extra. So in the realities of the country, well, I totally agree with in every word of what Dr. Meera Velayudhan has said. In the realities of the country, we need to understand caste better. We need to understand what we are fighting better. And we need, in this context, to ensure that every population that is sought to be subjugated to enable a singular nationality to be imposed on this country, on this subcontinent, on this landscape, and convert it into a singular country, not a diverse country. I think we can only counter that through every voice coming into parliament. And that was what I think was intended by Dr. Ambedkar right from his Pune Pact days, that every community must have a voice and must have representation. That's the only way we can protect our freedom.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we are moving to again to Dr. Malavika Binny. So now I would like to ask you in regard with the theorization in the academia. So do you think that the gender studies or the women's studies as an academic arena, how far they have been capable in looking at the intersectionalities, or do we have an intersectional approach in the academia in regard with the gender studies? That's it.
Thank you, Dinu. That's a very, very important question, a very relevant question as well. On the one hand, when we look at gender studies as a discipline, as Janki Nair has mentioned, there's a certain kind of ghettoization that has happened there. Rather than integrating gender history with mainstream history and producing a counter narrative for the conventional male or androcentric histories that we have, now we have disciplines and departments and texts which focus on gender history, and that sort of stands apart from mainstream history. This is also a way in which certain narratives are invisibilized by saying that there's a certain specificity to it, so that it is put in a particular niche. So there's a certain kind of ghettoization when it comes to gender studies in general, and even within gender studies, if you look at the issue of intersectionality, you would have a very low representation of studies on Dalit women. So you would have, let's say, works of Meera ma'am, or you would have works of Anandi Shanmugh. And for instance, you look at the pre-colonial past of South India, there's dozens of works on the Devdasi system without the mention of the caste composition of the Devdasis. Uh, and you had to have a foreign scholar like Susan Bailey to come and actually interrogate, also Leslie Orr, who interrogated the caste composition of the Devdasis. But again, it was Anandi Shanmugam's work who pointed out that you have a greatly underrepresented community called the Arundhadiyar community within the Devdasi system, where you actually see multiple rungs of oppression, and you also see an intergenerationality in that oppression. On the one hand, you had all the stigma of being the Devdasi, of being bonded to a particular profession. And when you have a movement towards modernity, you also have Dalit patriarchy, because you have a section of the men being educated, and a certain stigma attached to the very Brahmanical idea of these women being loose women, or catering to the interest of a particular kind of public. So you have different rungs of operations at work there. But this is research as recent as 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So you do have those exceptional, brilliant works, but those are the exceptions. I am yet to see, or I'm so sorry to say this, but I am yet to see a work on the gender history of South India or India, where you have a full-fledged discussion of Ambedkarite politics, or the politics of Dalit women's movements, other than maybe of Sharmila Rege. Though you have this scattered works. For instance, when Gopal Guru talks about, in his, I think, very, very famous article about Dalit women talk differently. So he addresses 2 points. One point being that you have different ways of mobilization. You have different activities are being done. So the conventional feminist ways of mobilization and the things that they stood for. He takes the example of ecofeminism, for instance, where you have drawing upon the work of environmentalists. You have a set of feminists who call themselves ecofeminists, but then it is also contested by a set of Dalit feminists who claim that you cannot talk about the environment without talking about the redistribution of resources, without the elimination of women's gender roles, which bond them to particular kinds of environments and spaces. So without addressing that, you cannot talk about environment. So even within movements, even within the way that they are represented, questions of intersections are sometimes lost because of the way in which uh, intersectionality has not been addressed by our mainstream scholarship. A. B, you also have the very real problem of archival sources, particularly in the colonial period, where names might not be mentioned, where only categories might be mentioned. So we have to constantly read against the grain. So that in itself is an issue. The source becomes an issue, but the source becomes an issue only when we are not very ready to develop new methodologies, where there is still this reluctance of mainstream academia to use folklore more effectively. And you have oral traditions being relegated to a different a different terrain, or there's this argument that that's not conventional history, you cannot date it, you cannot attach a chronological location for it. But then we would have to come up with fresh set of ideas and fresh set of eyes to produce these counter narratives, and thankfully that is being done. Was it done in the past? No. Is it being done now? Thankfully, there are a handful of scholars who are doing it, and I'm very thankful for that.
And of course, you are one among that scholars. Moving forward, the caravan of academia. Okay, now I would like to again come to Mridula Devi. Yes. So, as we all know that the Black feminist movements have really criticized both the women movements of that time and also how the Black men have also oppressed them. So, coming to the social movements and the visibility of Dalit and Bahujan women, since they have also said all the women are white, all the blacks are men, but some of us are brave. You are one among those brave women activists in the sphere of Kerala, coming from the Dalit community. So, how do you see, as an internal critic, how do you see the patriarchy working within the social movements of Dalits or the Bahujans? So, how do you see it as a Dalit woman? That's it.
Dinu, first of all, thank you. Thanks a lot. You narrated me very well and you praised me a lot. Thank you. Nice to hear. And before that, I think that I have to show the courage and honesty of a Dalit woman in front of to you on behalf of our forum. Okay, only then I can explain it. I think I thought no. So I think that many of them they didn't hear much about Kuili. Okay, I invite your attention to Kuili. 77 years before 1857, a Dalit woman named Kuili, who powered ghee and burned her body herself to free her country from the attack of Britishers. Yeah, British. So I would like to explain again. British army allied with Nawab of Shivaganga, the king Muthu Vadiga, fought against Britishers. And the army killed Muthu Vadiga and his wife Rani Velayudhan and her daughter Vellachi, I think her name, I forgot, so I'm so sorry, fled to Dindigul, and there she met her daughter, Rani Velayudhan. She met Kuili, the Dalit woman, and both they had made a strong bond, a strong relationship, and strong acquaintance. With the help of Kuili, Rani constituted an army there, and she started to fight against Britishers with the strategy of Kuili. Kuili made a strategy how to defeat Britishers. Britishers, and she understood that Britishers kept their weapon at Shivaganga Kote. Kuili through that is in Shivaganga Kote. So on Vijayadashami day, Kuili and her companions, entered the Shivaganga Kote as a devotee, and she she reached near to, she reached near to the weapons they stored there, and then nobody can understand that she is a fighter woman, but a devotee, no? And she sacrificed her life. She poured heat to her body and she burned herself. In that way, she defeated the weapon they have collected by British army. So, this was the first freedom movement struggle started in India. That's also from a Dalit woman has given her life. But marked 1857, Rani Lakshmi Bai's history is dividing the Dalit lady effort, how they curtail the effort of a Dalit lady who has given her life, who sacrificed her life for her motherland, no? And how they are praising the Kshatriya woman's sacrifice, no? So I do like to respect the activities of Rani Lakshmi Bai and her agitated. But at the same time, I want to enter the name of Kuilis to the curriculum. It's my right. So, okay. So I want to say that, you already started our session with my question. You started a discussion before starting our discussion. Is it audible? Is it audible? Is it audible?
Yeah. Now it's audible. Now it's audible.
Yeah. Yeah, some problem. Yeah, you opened the session with Changanuradi part for the whole of Paluvambenu, Everybody knows Changanuradi, but nobody knows Paluvambenu. This is the situation of everybody knows Kallamala Samara. That is Kalla Mala Samaram, not Kallimala. Many of them are always making mistakes. That is not Changanuradi, but Changanurati. Yeah, Dinu. Everybody knows Kalla Mala Samaram, no? Even the Dalit intellectuals or Dalit cultural sphere knows they know about Perinadilakala, know about Kalla Mala Samaram. But they know Mahatma Ayyangal, but nobody knows the name of any girl any ladies, those who are participating in Kalamala agitation. And Chanar Lehala continues 37 years. And the ladies participated this Chana Lehala. We couldn't find any name except one or two, This is the situation of the Asavarna feminists, those who were working in the field of marginalized politics. They are marginalizing from the marginalized people, those who are suffering the same caste issues, those who are suffering the same the race issues, they never consider. So the Dalit, I do like to say that the Dalit, there is a patriarchy, the Dalit woman want to suffer the patriarchy from society and from that Dalit. She want to suffer the suffrage from the Dalit community itself. Two types of patriarchies she has to face from societies and also from the Dalit communities also. This is so difficult, This is so, that is why. So I do like you to remember the famous quotation of Sojourner Truth, I ain't a woman. I do like to say that. I ain't a woman. ഞാനെന്താ ഒരു സ്ത്രീയല്ലേ നിങ്ങൾ കഴിക്കുന്ന അതേ ഭക്ഷണം ഞാൻ കഴിക്കുന്നു നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞ അത്രയും നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്ത അത്രയും ജോലി ഞാനും ചെയ്തു I am a woman. The same work I have done and the same service I have provided to my society. I have contributed my brain, I have contributed my wisdom, I have contributed my energy, I have contributed my time and everything. I am a woman. Sarojini, Sojourner Truth asked this question to the society, and still I can hear the voice. Many of the Dalit intellectuals had quoted this quotation to their articles and they spread here, but they were not ready to give and they were not consider the Dalit woman as a political agent but a commodity. Just a commodity to nurture their babies, to nurture the society, to in a particular way to nurture their household works. Nothing. They don't want anything more from us. So why it is happening? Because our curriculum is following a Savarna model curriculum is they are following. So again, so many of them are here, many of them knows because I'm always repeating. And several times you asked me that, Mridula Chechi, you start to say, I know that if a discussion will come, you will say the same topic. But Balu, I think that it's our we have to say that it's my duty that I have to say this because I invite your attention to the curriculum of family, in which way we are teaching family system in a school. Know that in a family, in English language, we are teaching about family. In environmental science also we are teaching and we are teaching about family. So still they are following in a binary way. We only know that only gents and ladies there. In a family system, the picture we can see that mother is cooking in the kitchen. And her daughter is also near to her. She is peeling vegetables there. And in the living room, the dad is sitting and he is reading a newspaper. Which newspaper? Earlier it was Samachar Patrika, then curriculum modified, then from Samachar Patrika to the person used Times of India, Deccan Chronicle. In that way, but the living room, the same person who is sitting, and near him, who is sitting, his boy is sitting, he is playing cricket, otherwise he is watching TV, otherwise he will read newspaper. No, he will read playing with his tab. The same mode of operandi is they are doing, but some modification is also happening in their dress. But the same thinking capacity, they were not ready to touch the brains of male patriarchy. They will never give a solution that we have to change this type of this thinkings they are following now. So likewise, and again inviting you to kitchen itself. Kitchen, 1970s kitchen, it was a chola, like that or something. She is preparing, chapati and that, or rice. And in 80s, in 90s, gas stove. And in this, the same time, the woman wore, apron with apron and microwave oven. No, she is working woman. And our Femina and Vanita and Grihalakshmi are ready to give lot of tips that how to manage, how to cook easily, how to save time to do household works. No, and the girl, she is also there with the cutting vegetables or peeling vegetables or pouring something to the food maker. So it means that they think that our curriculum completely taught us how to consider a lady just a commodity. They never consider as a political agent. So this is the Dalits are also following the same custom here, no? But you think the custom of Dalits is not like that way. I do like to recite some 2 lines of M.N. Tangappan sir, who has quoted the lines from Changanurati Patu. Alakkam kando, മൂളക്കം കേട്ടോ വിത്തിട്ടു കേറെന്റെ ഇല്ല പെണ്ണേ തങ്കത്തളപ്പുള്ള പെണ്ണേ തെയ്യാതീനന്തോ തീനം തീനന്തോ തക തെയ്യത്തീനന്തോ തീനം തീനന്തോ മുന്നാഴി നെല്ലിനാരക്കണ്ടം കൊയ്യണ കുന്നായം പാടത്തെ കുഞ്ഞേളച്ചി കൊട്ടേനുണ്ട് തുടി കൊട്ടേനുണ്ട് നിന്റെ കുട്ടിയിലെടുത്തോണ്ടു പോന്നോളൂ. So this life shows we are how the girls, how Dalit community was, how the people from Dalits are keeping gender equality in their day-to-day life. They have shows. Alakkam kando, moolakam ketto, vitittu kerinte illappenna. It means that my sister girl. My illappenna means that my sister. So means that very early morning they had to go to their farm and they had to work there. The ladies and gents, they had joined together. They were ready to give their effort there. So they were ready to give their workforce there together. They didn't afraid of anything that the person who is working near to me will attack me. She never thinks that. But system changed. No, the Dalit communities, ladies and gents always showed a gender equality each other. That is why in every song we can find, and in every folklore we can find such a gender equality. But after independence, we completely rejected the qualities and completely rejected the knowledge of Dalits and Adivasis from the curriculum, and they have forced they used the curriculum of Savarnas here, and the same curriculum is followed by all Indians here. Then this is the way Dalit male Dalit intellectuals, especially male Dalit intellectuals, and also the Dalit the gents, they followed the same curriculum, and the system completely they thinks that Dalit woman or any woman are just a commodity, but not political agent, but not cultural agent. They can't do anything. They are inferior to others. So that is why nowadays many Dalit, Adivasis and Bahujan ladies coming to political and cultural discussions there. First, they are always suffering from their own brothers. They are not ready to give brotherhood to us. Even in the poster itself, that is a poster of any Dalit organization. You can't find it. Only gents are there. Only gents are there. There is no ladies. Even they don't know that LGBTIQ community is there itself. They are still living in the imaginary. They are living in the world of binary. This is the system. So, and I'm a prey, P-R-E-Y, I'm a prey of Dalit patriarchy. 2 years before when I raised a question, my one of my crucial situation I have faced it to 2 years. Then I have put it into Facebook. I have received mob lynching from Dalit patriarchy, not from society. So that is why I'm asking you through this for platform also. Aren't I a woman? And Malu, aren't you a woman? You have to ask. Thank you, Dinu.
Thank you so much. You have rightly pointed on how curriculum is invisibilizing our efforts, and also how there is a need for voicing for a third way within the Kerala Dalit movements, and also how I have also often seen how on the public sphere, especially on academic discussions or other culture discussions also, the representation of Dalit women are very less. So if there was reservation, we could have been much more Dalit women in the public sphere. So even the Dalit men often forget this, or the Bahujan men always forget this. So it's very essential that we take a political decision that we won't be participating on platforms which are not having adequate representation. I have also taken it as a small step within my programs. I have also taken that political decision. So I think that before concluding, I would like to also look at how the spirituality or the master mythological narratives from the Brahmanism always portray some sort of Savarna women. So it's SWR, Savarna Women Reservation for the Gods. You can have good, I think that it's an example of the previous kind of ministry we have. We are having all sort of good like the economic department goes to some Lakshmi, you are having the education department with Saraswati, and all that sort of good departments with all these good gods. And when it comes to some sort of attacking nature, you are having a Kali for ourselves who is being stereotyped in every ways. So I would like to also ask to Santhamma madam, like in the arena of spirituality, we are having a strong woman like Jnanamma who has been invisibilized throughout the history of Kerala also. So as a member also of the movement, and I have also heard from you that it was Jnanamma who asked you to be a female advocate, also to serve for the community. So as a spiritual leader, I don't think that there is another spiritual woman from the Dalit community in India. So as a great spiritual woman and as a goddess who have done something for the society in the form of Pratiksha Raksha or delivering the necessary needs, I would like to also ask to you, how do you see the invisibilization of Jnanamma, and what do you have to, how she have inspired you to move forward as a lawyer in your profession?
Then it is it is an unexpected question. Anyway, Mohan sir, that I wrote in our group that there's about Veyil Sri Kumara Gurudevan Veyil. That is lyrics was recited by our Mridula Devi Kanannilla Rasharum. That is today. That is in our group today. That was a discussion. Sir also made some discussion about it. His wife was Jnanamma, and we, as Sri Narayan, we also, I already written that we also have spiritual, what we call, that's we also worship that guru. His wife was Jnanamma. She was the president of the Pratyasha Rasha Deva Sabha. That is, I already told that this is the congregation or the group of several castes. That is all the Bahujans, I can say. That is, and 2 or 3, very little, 1% other castes also, or Savarnas, etc. Some others are also very little only. So she was the president, and at the time of Veyil Sri Kumara Gurudevan's demise, a lot of property was there. And asset was there, and it was and so many cases were there, because nobody knows how to manage, or who will manage it, and in what way it has to be managed. So she took the charge as president, and she managed to deal with all the cases. All the several shagas were there, so assets were there. Assets are only because of the work that was amassed, or that was gained only by the work that is in the estate work, etc., etc. Those people, the people were the Sabhas members were doing, and they got the money and purchased lands and got such a good asset. So that was the she had to attend several cases, contest several cases, and she appeared in many courts as a witness and a party, and she contested all the cases, and almost all the cases were won also. So I was for my BSc, and I got a first class in my BSc. And when I went to meet her, and I wanted to inform her that I passed in first class. She asked me, which course you want to join. Then I said I want to join for medicine. Then he says, no. You go to LLB, or that particular word she told, that is you must go for law. So because I didn't opt it, but somehow I happened to opt this LLB, and I started my practice. Because a lady from a Dalit community, SC community, never got this background for practice in a court. And if I already I intended, I would definitely I would have practiced in my native village. But somehow I could come to Ernakulam, and I could practice in the High Court. So and I could meet. That's I was. I already told, I think, that I was students. I was working in students association, especially Harijan students. And then it was it could be called Harijan, and Harijan Students Federation. I was working, and I joined this profession, and I could do something for my community. As Dinu said, I never detached from the community. I never detached from from their problems. So I have been I have been dealing with the problems of the community till now. That gives me much satisfaction, I think. And that is why only I could be able to join with this famous group, Article 16. Anyway, I could that is a position, that was why I happened to join for LLB. And I think I can manage in my way, that only. That is 10%, 1%, 10% of that only. That way I can save my community, I think, and I get satisfied. Because the new like persons, they better know, he better knows that what is the violation of fundamental right. And he then consults with me, and he has now started the drafting also. So with the help of these persons, and also because of my contact with the community, and the knowledge is that I can understand the problems of the community, being a lawyer. That is my privilege, I think. So I am doing, I can say I am doing my best. I will have to say. Anyway, that gives me much satisfaction. And that is the problem. That is the feminine, or the encouragement. That I have to say that an encouragement, and at the same time, it is a matter of confidence. That is that I have been acquired. I must say, everybody knows that in court, when if we want to make some representation, we must be confident with our matter. And that I am getting. And that is a position, that is why I joined for law, and become a small lawyer. That's only that is only about that's the encouragement. Certainly that encouragement and confidence, that I never I cannot forget. Yes, that is an inspiration. Okay. Thank you, Dinu.
Thank you, ma'am. We are happy that Janava have given a great career guidance to you at that time itself. We have gone for BSc, we couldn't have filed many cases. So, sorry. Yeah. So we are very happy, ma'am. Then we would wind up by Mridula. Devi would be telling that song which we have posted. So, Mridulechi, if you are there, could you please?
Yeah, Dinu, I'm here. Thank you, Dinu. Thank you. So again, I would like to say that I have to take a bail that I'm just a lyricist, not a singer. And the last four lines I'll sing for you. തീണ്ടാരി നാളത്ത് ചുറ്റിപിടിക്കാതെ ചുട്ടാണി നൂൽ തെച്ച് വെറ്റില ചൊപ്പാക്കും മത്തമൻ ചായുന്നേ പെണ്ണ് പൊലി പൊലിക്കുന്നേ പൊന്നി മുഴങ്ങുന്നേ അന്തി മയങ്ങുന്നേ രാരിക്കം രാരോ രാരിക്കം രാരോ രാരിക്കം രാരോ രാരിക്കം. This is the tune of the Great Indian Kitchen's last song, which I have written, and I do like to sing the same Idanadan, for you. That also in the movie, the middle part of movie, that composed by myself, but not my own music composition, but the music composition which was written by my ancestors. No name. Okay. ചെമ്പ്രാന്തമേറെയാണ് പെണ്ണിന്റെ ചെരപ്പച്ചേലാണ് തുറ്റാവ് നീണ്ടതാണ് മിളിന്തി മത്തയുടെ ചേലാണ് കൂലം പേരണ്ടീലം വെള്ളിയം കരത്തി മലവേലി വെക്കൂലോ പെണ്ണ് ചേതം വെക്കൂലോ രാരിക്കും രാരോ രാരിക്കും രാരോ രേരിക്കും രേരോ ചെമ്പ്രാന്തമേറെയാണ് പെണ്ണിന്റെ ചേരപ്പച്ചേലാണ് തുറ്റാവ് നീണ്ടതാണ് മിളിന്തി മാൻപേടച്ചേലാണ് രാരിക്കും രാരോ രാരിക്കും രാരോ രാരിക്കും രാരോ രാരിക്കും. I do like to say the meaning of the lines which are said. On her period days, defying custom, she will be read with sweater, taken with a dart of light. As the sun goes down, her radiance grows, the beats get louder, the dusk approaches. Rarikyam, rararo, rarikyam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On an era where women are being restricted from the Shabarimala and they are standing as a part of having the social disability. They are on street as a part of Namajapa Ghoshayatra. We are proud that Dalit women who are entering to the field is voicing through the lyrics against all sort of untouchability and all sort of social disabilities. I think that it was a very fruitful session, and I could also learn much from all of you regarding that. I would like to recite few words of lines of Sheetal Sati, who is an Ambedkarite woman singer. She have told in Eighth Mandar and Gadaya that it's nausea served in the plate, the untouchable nausea. The disgust grows in the belly, the untouchable disgust. Is there in the flower buds, is there in sweet songs, that a man should bring another man's blood. This is the land where this happens. This is the land of nausea. So standing on a land where a man is an untouchable to another, and standing on a land of Manusmriti and Purusha Suktas, which ask you to have the blood of another human being, a land where the greater inequality happens. We had at that period itself a strong lady standing in the Constituent Assembly and telling that you are propagating a fascist social structure. So we are proud that we could pay tribute to such a lady who have called this as a fascist social structure of Hindutva philosophy. So on behalf of Article 16 community, I'm thanking you all for being here. So in an arena of invisibilization, we will have more and more voice to visibilize ourselves, and we would be in the public sphere, be in the culture sphere, be in the academic sphere, or whether in the political arena, we'll rise more and more voice and never let our voice down. Thank you all for participating once more and putting forward all the different perspectives. Thank you.